Hello everyone and welcome to this week's track guide or tutorial for the Audi at COTA for the upcoming week. So, got a long run up to turn 1, but it's very key already. You want to be thinking about bringing your car over to the right hand side, aiming to use as much road on the way into turn 1. It's quite a tricky braking zone. It's quite easy to go in a bit too narrow here, okay, I need to follow the track initially, and then you end up in the middle of the track, and then it gives you an awful exit. So, main key for me is try and bring it out to the right hand side as much as possible. Aim to use as much of this road as possible, like the runoff here. It is easy, obviously, to get an off track here if you dip a wheel a little bit too far over. It's quite annoying off track here, so just be a bit wary of that. But, braking wise, obviously it's kind of a blind, there's no real major reference except between this pole here and this bit of a grandstand if you've got it available on the outside. Around here is fine. I always find it just more beneficial to be going a bit soft on the brakes. So you can see you're well before the line, braking in a straight line, like I was mentioning before, up on the outside curb. And what you want to do is initially brake in a straight line and start turning in once you get to this white line here across the track where the exit merges. But braking wise, going to keep it nice and chilled out on the way in. Don't go too aggressive. It's very easy to stamp on the brakes getting the ABS on the way into turn 1. So aim for 60-70% brake pressure. You're outside the ABS zone. This way you can carry as much momentum into the corner, which then will help the exit when you have to lean on the power. So you see, we trail brake it all the way in now, past that white line as I was mentioning. You're now slowly tipping into turn 1, trying to use the way the track falls away at the apex here, just to bring the car in for you. But you see, trail braking all the way down, over the crest. Pretty central at this point. If I go to chase, you'll see pretty much in the middle of the track here, in line with this part of the fence. But this allows us to try and arc our way into turn 1. As you can imagine, if you brake and go in at this point here, turn 1's too narrow. If you're out here, you're just never going to get to the apex of turn 1 and you lose too much time on the exit. So from here, you'll be trail braking all the way in. You can either go to second or first, is driver preference. In the Audi, I found first here quite nice. On the exit, I found second was a bit too long. The NSX this week, which is really fast here, you could get away with using first and having a huge exit. So, kind of driver preference, but your main goal is you want to be trying to be aiming to be clipping the inside curb here, not the sausage curb, just the actual red and white part of the curb. But as you can see as well, the inputs now, we're back on the throttle already. You want to have a slow increase of power here. Very easy on the exit to slip the rear and have a huge slide on the exit. If you do that here, it then makes the car get really loose through the whole S section. So just be a bit wary of this. But at the apex, down to first, like I was mentioned, bring in the power and just slowly build it up. You see, no major stamp of throttle. Just slow build up to 50-60%. Hold it. As soon as you get the steering lock off, at this point, now release it. And for this, it then just allows you to just run out ever so wide. Your wheels are on the white line. But the main key here, you're not rummaging out here on the runoff on all the dirt. If you're out here, you've gone the power a little bit too aggressive, you run the car out wide. And the problem then is, 1, the off track, 2, you have to bring the car ever so slightly over to the left again to then turn it to the right. From here, it just gives you a nicer approach into turn 2, 3, whatever you want to call it, up to the S's. So from here, just bring it over over to the middle of the track. Just help at the entry here. There's no point driving it in super tight. You get the off track here on the inside. For me, I always, kind of a driver preference, I've always liked having the car half and half here. Just in the actual red part of the runoff. If I go to chase, you'll see left wheel's on the white line, right wheel's on the red. This is just within the track limit, but you'll feel the car actually rotates for you for free here if you do this. If you miss this, then try and go on it at this point. The car can compress and it has a weird slide for some reason, which is how the corner is or how the curb is for some reason. But key thing, just always try and make sure you have your right wheels on this curb just to hook the car up for you for free. From here into the S's, into the approach of the S's, don't try and go all the way out to the right here. It's very a bit of a misleading thing. You see people out here fully, and you also see people very tight here. Just bring it over to just past the halfway point, aiming in between this middle part of the sign here, around here. With this, it allows you then to open the entry up, flat out in. You want to be as close as possible to this curb here on the inside here. You can see we're just missing it, but you're getting super close to it. Obviously, if you hit this, it's game over. So just make sure you're nice and close on this on the way in, as the more entry curve you can take here, the better the setup is for the second part, which then allows a smoother transition from the second to the third part. This whole part of the track, this whole section, especially in the Audi, is so crucial to be very, very smooth. Any sort of jabbing of the brake, any sort of flicking of the steering wheel, at that point the car will really start to struggle and start to oversteer. Just you have to run quite a lot of rake around here just to get the car to rotate a lot in the last sector. It's so hard through here if you start overdriving it, having massive inputs, like massive jabs of brake and stuff. So, use as much curb on the way in. Once you come off the curb, so now we're fully off the curb in the middle of the track, brake, down one gear, onto the second curb. At this point again, you see we're getting very close to the inside curb here, the sausage curb, but just maximising as much of the track as you can here. As I mentioned at the first one, the more you can use, the better it will be through here. But the main thing is, you'll see the inputs between the first and the second one. It was a very smooth transition. And same again here. Between the second and the third curb, this is where you'll get a lot of oversteer. The car will want to over-rotate quite a lot here. So just be very patient from here to here. You see, like, we're just rolling at this point. Just rolling in. There you saw I have a slight lean on the brake pedal, just to help guide the front into the third curb here. And just roll in. Bring in the power now once you pass the curb. So my reference point for that would be just once you pass the sausage curb here. This point here, bring the power in, about 50-60%. Then you can build up a little bit. There's no point of jamming up to 100% because all what happens if you do that is you have to crank a lot of steering lock in and you end up just running a little bit wider here. And it just then makes the whole next section just too tight. But I'll just play this in full quickly as well. You see we go in. One downshift, trail through, and from here you now have to set this whole next double right up. Up on the curb, one downshift to third. You can do it in fourth. The only issue I found with fourth is if you have a bit of a bad wind or whatever in the session, it can cause the car to push a little bit wide here. And then because of that, if the car pushes a little bit too wide, you have to put a little bit more steering lock in. As you can imagine, then you're scrubbing the fronts more. It just, to me, third, you don't really lose anything by keeping it a bit tight here and just keeping it following the line. You don't gain anything. You're not setting yourself up for an overtake or losing out for it. So, to me, third just slows the car down a bit more, but it gives you a nicer exit. But we got Chase again, fully on the curb here. Got to get up on this curb as much as possible. Just because it helps rotate the car. If you miss this curb at this point here, fucking hell, Charlie, I have to restart that. Jesus, that was a misread. So we'll start again, Charlie, from like this point here. 3, 2, 1. So up on the curb now, you want to use as much of this curb as possible, just obviously it allows to rotate the car for free. You can see if you're just a little bit off this, you understeer a bit wide, you travel a bit more distance, harder arc into the next part of the right. So just up on the curb, follow this through. The downshift as well here, this is where the downshift helps because it allows you then to just keep the car a bit neater, a bit tighter on the way in. Just roll it ever so slightly out, not past the middle, just kind of central to the tighter area, like using this like signpost here as a reference. It's just, there's no point traveling out here, just keep it in the middle. And you see input wise, we're just rolling in, and then as soon as I now know I can cross into this part of the curb here, now I'm back on the power. This whole part here, you're just rolling and probably using a little bit of brake. I know the NSX and the Merc, you had to use a little bit of brake here to get the car into the corner. The Audi, from the first part to the second part, you can just roll it all the way through, and then once you know you're going to cross over this curb here, you start bringing the power in. Again, same as turn 1. Hold it at 80-90%, hold it, and what this allows you to do, bring the car over to the right hand side. Now 100% once I'm in a straight line here. And then straight away into the next left, as soon as you've got the car in a straight line and pointed, brake ever so slightly, and just roll it into the left. Again, very close to the curb on the inside where the sausage is. Cutting over this fully. Build the power in. Be nice and progressive with the power. It's very easy here, especially if you jump on the power too early. The car will have a huge snap of oversteer. Any sort of slide here, again, same as turn 1 into the S's. Any sort of snap here, the exit of left here is just awful. So just be a bit patient on the power. Don't just jump to 100%. Jump. I don't know what I'm saying. Jump. Redo that again, shall we? So, 3, 2, 1. Turn to the next left. Bring it over to the right. Pretty much straight away. Now, once the car's in a straight line, brake ever so slightly. Just use that brake trace just to bring the car in. Bring the power in now once you're at the curb itself. Just avoid the sausage curb, but cut over as much of the inside curb as possible. Build the power in. Be nice and progressive. Very easy here to get the car to start to snap and oversteer. And any sort of slide here, you're going to really affect how the car bounces in the next left coming up over the hill. So from here, build the power in. You see I just hold. Then the main key here, there's two ways you can approach this. You can go driving deep in early up on the curb. You have to really slow the car down in mid-corner, and then you kind of compromise the exit, but you gain a lot on the way in. For me, especially in a qualifying situation or a hot lap situation, always want to try and go for the central part of the track. We're pretty much in the centre, following this line here. Big brake, turn in. You can do this in third, or you can do it in second. Second, to me, in the Audi, just give you a bit more like initial power on exit. Third, obviously, will be a bit nicer through the corner because you have to upshift from second to third if you do the downshift. But either way is fine. The main concept is the same thing. You want to be now trying to aim to get into the second phase of this corner on the inside of the curb. Trail brake it in. This point here, but now dipping into the red and into the actual like runoff part here. Build the power in and just slowly just build it up gradually through the corner, and you see it all the way through the corner. Slowly build it up. 100% now once you're in between the right and the left, and you can get away with going flat out in the left if you just wait. If you're just hovering at like 70% from now to the left here, you get away with 100%. But for me, I always go up to 100. Go into a direction change. As you go into a direction change, lift off a little bit just to help bounce the car. And then once I'm over the curb, back on 100%. And then you'll see car-wise with the track limit. Left wheel's just past the white line here. Right wheel's over. This is probably the most you're going to get away with on a consistent basis. If you're getting the off track like here, you just got on the power at this point here too early to 100%, and that just causes the car to push wide. From here, have a nice little run down into the hairpin, but it's very, very crucial this braking zone to get right. Obviously, if you mess this up, you leave yourself very vulnerable on the back straight for anyone who wants to do a dive. But also this corner as well is quite a nice overtaking opportunity due to how wide it is. You can just go in for a massive send and just aim for like this part of the track. But we're focused on the hot lap here. Braking point, it's quite easy to spot out actually. You see like the darker patch here on the runoff, on the red and white curb. This or this white line. This is like your main braking point. So you aim for this. Bring it over to the right hand side. Again, same as turn 1. Try and use a little bit more road on the way in. Just get the car over to the right hand side. Braking. Be progressive. Don't just jump on the brakes, hit 80-90% instantly, because what happens then is you hit the ABS and the car will just go straight. And then because of that, it gives you a real awful approach into the hairpin on the actual apex. From here, trail brake it in. You see like 50-60%. Last white line here. From here to here is like your turning in point. From now, start bringing it in slowly. The biggest reference I can give for what I use on a generic basis is when I know where the curb on my triple screens, for instance, if you're on triples, the curb is on your left monitor out here. As soon as that's fully like blocked by your roll cage, for me in the Audi, it was like my best reference. It's kind of a weird corner, weird way to go about it, but a biggest advice: just go to the corner a little bit earlier than you think. There's no harm with hitting the inside curb here. It just helps rotate the car a little bit. So a little bit early is always better than going in a bit too deep, bit too late, because you never then get the exit up the straight if you got a bit wide, especially with a dirt build up. But from here, trail brake in, down the gears, and you see early turning up on the curb, but as soon as you're on the curb, on the power already. So crucial to get as much like an initial hit on the curb with the power. Levels the car out, gives you a nice clean exit. From here, build the power in. Obviously, I got a bit loose here in first gear. That can happen quite easily, no matter what gear, first or second. So just be a bit wary of that. Obviously, that will then lead up to a bit of a time loss down the straight, but nothing too huge. It's more like if you do that consistently through the race, you'll probably burn the rear right up. But I play that in full. Turn in, trail brake it all the way nice and smooth, up on the curb. Bigger on the exit. Off track here again, same as like the exit of sector 1. You just got to be up on this as far as possible. Obviously now a long straight. Just keep it over to the right hand side. Don't just wander and dawdle off to the left. So into probably one of the trickiest braking zones on the track, if not the hardest. I felt, especially with this week with the wind, it was very easy to overshoot this corner on the way in. Very easy to get up on the ABS, think you could commit to it, and you just lost a load of time. You then really hurt the left front on the way in because of it. So braking wise, lucky enough again, I've actually got some markers this time compared to turn 1. But you want to be aiming well before the 100 board, around the 150. Anywhere between here is kind of okay. I always try to brake a little bit earlier here and just roll in, same as turn 1 and same as the previous hairpin. Just helps balance the car a bit more over a longer run. In for this white line. Roll off, and again, just a slow increase of brake pressure. But into here, you actually have to peak a little bit higher. Aim for about 80% at the top end of your braking. But don't just jump on the brake, stamp on the brake. Just go there slowly and progressively. 50 meter board is kind of a good turning point. From here, bring it in. But you see, I go down the gears. I'm down to first already. You can do second. The problem with second here, I always found in the Audi, it just pushed the car a little bit too far past the corner at the midpoint. First, I could always then get the car into the corner, point it onto the apex, onto the curb. But it's driver preference depending on the car. Main key, you're aiming for the actual inside curb here. You can see just here. Trail brake it in. Slow release of brake pressure. Don't just come off the brake fully on the way in, because that will then just cause the car to have a huge rotation, like an oversteer rotation on the way in. Aim for the curb, release the brake, and like you want to jump on the power quite aggressive if you use first gear here. Second gear, you have to wait a little bit because obviously you've got to have a little bit more understeer on the way in. First gear, you can jump on the power up to about 75-80%, and then as soon as you can get the lock off, so like now the steering lock's off, now 100%, it should give you a nice clean run on the exit. Try and again use a little bit of the runoff, and straight away into this next technical section of the lap. Aim over here to left hand side, up one gear, but your main braking is like as soon as you get to here, as soon as you get to this left hand side, brake. Again, same as a lot of braking zones here. A little bit earlier and a little bit softer is just kind of the best way around here. If you start barreling in into here, especially on the way in, the car gets super weird. Like it gets loose on entry, and then you get a crazy load of understeer mid-corner here, just no matter what weather or wind. So you can imagine if you go in here steaming in, you're just going to miss the corner and get a huge snap on the exit. Just roll it in. Reference-wise, you'll see if I go to chase, just my left wheels are touching the curb. Now I start to brake. And what you want to do from here, just have a nice slow progression of brake all the way into the corner, about 30-40%. Aim for the curb. I leave it in second here. Key thing is get up onto his curb. If I go chase again, you'll see up on the curb. Avoid the sausage curb, but just follow the red and white curb. Bring in the power, but just bring it in slowly, 50-60%. Hold it, 80, 90, about 100. Aim to cross over this. You can get the off track if you go too far, if your left wheels cross over the white line onto the curb. So just be a bit wary of that. But just drive over this. Helps set up the next section. Bring it over into the middle part of the track here. Braking wise, because of this, you want to try and lift off. Have a small bleed of brake initially, just like you see, I've got like 5, like not even like a few percent on, just to help guide the car into the corner, same as what you do in the S's, for instance. But your main braking, you got to try and get the car in a straight line. You see, like now, I'm trying to brake following this part. Braking point once you get to this curve is kind of a reference for it. But just be nice and gentle on the brakes, 50%. Trail brake it in. This corner's again, you've got to be very patient on the downshift here. You can use second all the way through here. I used first on this lap just to hook the car up. Found it very, very important if I go to chase. Very important to get up on this curb this week. I just found there's so much more grip, and it allowed you then to free up the exit a lot more. So from here, aim first curb. And you want to just slow release the brake pressure. You see I've got a lot of steering lock on now because I'm aiming and the main focus is to try and get up on this curb. Up on the power, 50%. And as soon as I can get the steering lock off, slow build up the power. Don't jump on the power at 100% now because all what happens, you get a massive slide and you lose like 2/10 of free here. I had it so many laps in a row where I just messed up here because I got too greedy on power. Just be nice and gentle on the power. Build it in. You see up on the runoff. Bring it straight back over to the left hand side for the next section. Quite a tricky section here, especially in GT3s. We don't really have a load of downforce. Like you do notice you get a bit of understeer through here. It's very, very dependent on how you hit each curb, like each part of the corner, each curb on each corner. So on the way in, 100% in. As soon as I go under the bridge, past the bridge, lift off now. Just ever so slightly, then full lift down to about 20% throttle. But the main thing is you've got to have throttle on at some point all the time. So like even like I dropped down to 20%, just to got a little bit of throttle to keep that forward momentum. Main drop of throttle, aiming to get into the first part of the curb here. If I go to chase now, you see at this point here, right hand side of the wheels just in the curb, just below 50% throttle, about 30-40% throttle. From here, now you can build it back up, but don't just jump on 100%. Hold about 80-90% between the first right and the second right. You decided to drop the throttle again here, just be a bit patient. I got a bit greedy here. Probably hold like 70% throttle between here and here. Up on the curb again is the main key here though. This one just gives you so much rotation and it hooks you over to the right hand side. If you miss this curb, you'll notice you end up having to put an extra 5-10 degrees of steering lock in. You follow this around and then once it comes into the next left, you're in the middle of the track and you can't get over to the right hand side to open up the entry, and it just makes the entry then too tight if you're in the middle. So it's very key you follow this around. I would practice it as well with the off track. It's quite easy to get an off track here, but you have to get up on this curb. The biggest advice I'd give for this whole section. You see I'm trying to get as far over to the right as possible. 100% power now. You see that the car now just comes off it ever so slightly, but I'm still on the curb, so it hooks me up through the corner. All the way around. From now I'm in the middle, but I'm already, steering-wise, I'm aiming for over here on the right-hand side. If you miss that curb completely, you end up a little bit too far over. And also, if you're out here, please back up the earlier section. There's no point in driving out here. If you're out here, it just makes this next section just impossible. But from here, main focus, right-hand side. Bring it over. As soon as I get onto the curb, similar to like the previous section of the lap, as soon as I get onto the curb, brake and do your downshift or whatever. You can do it in 4/4/3, no real drama really. Braking wise, 50%, down to third, early turning, trail brake it all the way in. Your aim here is you want to get your left wheels on the inside of a sausage curb. If you hit the sausage curb, the car bounces. If you get your left wheels on the inside, it just hooks the car up for free, gives you a load of rotation, and it really helps the exit. Then you don't have to worry about the off track as much on the outside. So the biggest key I would always give is from here, always aim. If you need to brake a little bit earlier or lift off a little bit earlier, the main key is just get over this inside curb. Trail brake it in, get off the brake, roll it over the curb. As soon as I'm over the curb, on the power. I jumped on the power a little bit too aggressive on this lap. You see I have to get off the power and back on it. Just hold it like 80-90%, then go 100% once you're off the curb fully. So right now, 100%. Again, maximise the road usage on the outside. Into the final corner. Brake where this escape road is, well before the white line. Very easy to overdo it on the way in, and you can lose a lot of time, and which will compromise the whole lap. It's very easy to lose your lap time here in the qualifying laps. Run off here on the outside. Pretty aggressive braking into the final corner, actually, like 60-70%. Just build up to it. Similar again, don't just jump on it at 80%, 90%. Just slow build up. And into the final corner, down to second. Early turning, because you want to get up on this curb here on the inside. You see, as soon as I'm up on the curb, 50% power, hold that over the curb, and as soon as I'm off the curb, 100%, allows you to use all the runoff on the outside, and then it's a short run to a line, so it's very crucial you always get that exit right. And with that, that is this week's track guide.